Does everyone else on your video call look like they're in the Library of Congress while you fall short? Then we've got a product for you.
Hi, John Still here for Bookcase. Are you ready to change your lives? Alright.
Through literally minutes of research and development, the good folks over at Bookcase have solved all your old bookcase problems.
For just 3 simple payments of... How much is this thing again?
It's just a YouTube video.
Oh, it's just a video? Okay, I'll come up with something. Tune into the video so you can do it yourself!
I'm going to build a bookcase for my geology books and binders from school. The weird thing about this design is that I want it to be just big enough for the stuff that I have now, as I don't plan on going back to school anytime soon. So I'm going to measure the books and binders that I've got and split that throughout 3 shelves, which comes out to 41.3 repeating inches. That measurement is hard to work with, so I'll settle with 41 3/8. Another requirement is that the whole thing can be made out of 1 sheet of plywood, so that it's more replicable for those at home. So I'll make a cut with the track saw and that the rest of the pieces can be run through the table saw without moving the fence. The fence is set to cut the depth dimension, which is identical on all the pieces. For the top, base, and both sides, I want to miter those joints so there's no exposed plywood edges on the outside. So I'll clip one end at 45, flip them over, and knock out the other side. Yes, I do need a better miter gauge. I'm going to slog through with this one for now. I'll dress this thing up with some contrasting walnut iron-on edge banding. So I'll mark the length I need against the actual piece with a little bit of margin on either side, then just get domestic and iron it down. With a bit of practice, you'll be able to keep it centered on the plywood edge as you move along, but if you're having trouble, temporarily tape it in a few spots and then remove the tape a little bit at a time as you go along. Pay extra attention to the ends with a few more rolls and presses. Once cooled, I'll slice the ends with a razor and then use this veneer trimming tool to flush up both sides at the same time. I recommend immediately softening the edges with a pass of 220 sandpaper to mitigate the risk of it catching and peeling up. Next, I'll lay out 4 and drill some 1/2-inch countersinks, and then clean everything up with some sanding. This plywood is a little cheaper. It has an A side and a C side. If you use this stuff, you've got to think a little harder about orienting the show side towards the viewer. Then I'll screw this thing together with a little bit of glue, as I don't want to clean up any squeeze out if I don't have to. On the miters, I'm going to throw some pins in the countersinks instead of screws, and we will cover those up in a second. I'll quickly glue and screw in the lower shelf, the next divider, the upper shelf, and the upper divider. Then screw and nail in the side, and then the top, which required a little bit of persuasion. To cover those screw holes, I'm going to drill out some plugs from walnut offcuts. The look of plugs is much better than just using a dowel, because dowels are always going to leave you with the end grain showing, whereas plugs give you the more attractive face grain. You could nip these off with a pass through the bandsaw, but a little leverage with a screwdriver works just as well. And you know the drill: glue, hammer, saw, sand. In full transparency, I'll show you not only the best looking one, but the worst as well. I'll put some feet on now, which gives it a better look, like it's floating off the ground about 1/4 inch. Now I'll blow it off in preparation for finish. I'll start on the insides and finish up on the showier outside surfaces. It's no maple and walnut, but it only cost you 1 sheet of plywood. Then I'll carefully haul it into place and load it up. Not too bad. The Billy Mays spokesman should be satisfied.
Now go out there and make a bookcase of your own!
Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more.